Yeah, he took Zack's girlfriend.
Zack's
Oh,
girlfriend.
really?
Yep.
That's unfortunate for Zack. It's very unfortunate.
Poor Zack.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you're very nice. I have no idea what you're talking about, honestly.
My last video caused quite a stir among the masses, and I'm not Square Enix's messenger. I ultimately don't really get anything out of this other than just, explaining the narrative, just because I'm passionate about it. I've been a fan for a very long time. I'm very hyped for Rebirth. We need to clear the air and just tell it like it is. I do not care about ships. I care about what the game writers want to tell us directly, but you seem to be one of those people you're talking about, just in the other direction. Like Cloud's English VA doesn't have any say in what happens in the game, so I don't know why you brought that up. So essentially you're of the belief that anything Cloud's voice actor says is meaningless?
Not interested. But Cloud is interested in Tifa. And I could say that maybe Cloud and Tifa should be together, and their relationship was one of my favorites. So, interested.
I mean, let's not leave Cloud's motion capture actor out of this, Katsuyuki Yamazaki, either.
師匠がいいからな。
ほら、ティファに優しい。
これからはもっと厳しくいこうかな。
そうしてくれ。
ティファに優しい。T につけとくか、T に。なんでも T が優先だ。うん。クラウドだったらそうするだろう。
バーレさんには内緒。
There's clearly a pattern between these four guys, Takahiro Sakurai, Steve Burton, Cody Christian, and Yamazaki. Is it that they're all wrong? Or could they have the necessary insight into the character? They were told about his motivations and feelings. Look, I am going to keep it real with you. I am a working actress, and everything is by design. You have to know what the character is thinking in each scene, what drives that character, and just because Cody Christian didn't play the game before he started acting as Cloud doesn't mean that he wasn't given insight after the fact. The people in charge of the recording session are going to know. You're also stating assumptions about vague instances as fact, but also claiming anything to do with aerith is an assumption. Like I said, I don't care about ships. I just don't think you realize how hypocritical you are being. Look, even though I'm a fan of Cloud and Tifa, that doesn't mean that I can't come to a logical conclusion based on the facts, based on things that were said in developer interviews and the data books that were released, several of them just dedicated to Final Fantasy VII and the compilation alone. One of the most damning pieces of evidence, in my opinion, out of the many, was from way back in 2010, translated thanks to the lovely people of the livestream.net. This quote comes from the Final Fantasy 20th Anniversary Ultimania scenario. This section is on page 394 of the guidebook, entitled For the One I Love. And the header to this section reads as follows. For the one I love, through the long journeys, the love of the protagonists develop. Occasionally they become separated, but the two's value to one another gives them a great strength to overcome whatever crisis may come. We have images of Squall and Renoa, Tidus and Yuna, Zidane and Garnet, established canon couples. Who is the only canon couple from 7 that is shown? Cloud and Tifa. It says, the night before the final battle, thanks to Tifa, Cloud regains himself, and before the final battle with Sephiroth, without using words, he confirms with her that their feelings match. And before you say that, oh, well, there's 2 versions of the Highwind scene. Well, this high affection version was referenced and used, so I think that point is kind of null and void in my eyes. And I know what some of you are thinking, but there are choices that we have in FF7 to where we can show preference for either woman. Well, that's true through the dating mechanic, and Nomura does make mention of this in a very kind of obscure interview. In an interview with Game Walker magazine, Nomura states, depending on the player, it's natural for them to say, I like Tifa, no, I prefer Aerith. So I wanted to shape things in reflection of that, or in other words, create a system that reacts to the player's feelings. For example, if the game had a completely straightforward path, I end up with Tifa because of story-related reasons, even though Aerith is the one I like, it gets to feel something like that, so I wanted to get rid of that approach. It's not that there are branching paths, but I absolutely wanted to incorporate a mechanic that reflects the player's feelings. There are no branching paths. The narrative is the narrative. It just gives you that option to play, kind of like you can date Barrett. Is anyone arguing that Cloud has feelings for Barrett? You can also get Yuffie. Now, Yuffie is underage. Are we arguing that Cloud has feelings for Yuffie even though he's mentally 16? Heck, you can even do the same thing in Final Fantasy X a little bit and flirt with Lulu. Are we saying Tidus and Yuna were not in love? The original game used cartoon-like, stylized art, and the story was completed by players using their imagination to supplement portions that couldn't be depicted as a result. Even if they were seeing the same scene, the information they took away from it and how they interpreted it differed depending on the viewer. Perhaps it's what might be considered a narrative form of storytelling nowadays. In Final Fantasy VII Remake, there will be much less room for player imagination. This fact will probably change the feel of the story considerably. People who know the original might not know quite how to take it. Such is the fear that I have, but I also have conviction. In fact, it was a very intentional mechanic in the game to, again, give the players an illusion of choice and, give that illusion of us projecting onto Cloud. I mean, for God's sakes, we could name him back then. We could name Tifa, we could name Aerith, but Cloud isn't Peter and Aerith isn't Wendy. Now, it's not a choose-your-own-adventure anymore. Rebirth and Remake are clearing up a lot of misunderstandings. Wait, and before you say, oh, well, Cloud doesn't even get together with Tifa at the end of the game. He's miserable and he wants to look for Aerith in the Promised Land. Here's another quote from the anniversary Ultimania. Now running a delivery business while helping out Tifa with the newly opened 7th Heaven bar, Cloud, Tifa, Marlene, and Denzo live together like a family. The more he realizes how happy he is living with Tifa and the children, the more the fear of losing that and regrets toward the past trouble Cloud. And that is the premise for Advent Children. Cloud has a life-threatening disease. That's why he distances himself from his family. He doesn't want to die. The present Tifa isn't just Cloud's childhood friend, but also the mother. The mother of the family they were forming in Edge from the 10th anniversary Ultimania. That makes Cloud the father. That makes them the father and the mother. Therefore, they are a couple. Well, you know what? Cloud loved Aerith more. If Aerith was alive, Cloud would have gotten with Aerith. Tifa was his last choice. I mean, Cloud knew Aerith for 2 weeks, and more than that, Aerith never even got to know the real Cloud. The entire time Cloud knew Aerith, he was undergoing a lot of psychotic episodes. Under the effect of jenova cells, Cloud mimics his best friend Zack and creates a new persona. But the mental aspects weren't the only things he received from Zack. From the 10th anniversary Ultimania. So the whole twist is that Cloud almost becomes a clone of Zack, even though he is not. That's what attracts Aerith to Cloud, because she's not over Zack. This fact is driven home by an interview with Uematsu, who is the composer of Final Fantasy VII. The inspiration behind Aerith's theme is basically Aerith waiting. Every single day, waiting and waiting about someone who doesn't come. That's the inspiration for Aerith's theme. Just to back up a bit here, Tifa holds the key. She and Cloud came to realize their feelings for each other in the end of the story and live together in Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus. Hitting you with the 20th anniversary Ultimania again, because that one is just great when it comes to these types of facts. Aerith's first love was Zack. He was Cloud's best friend, and his personality has had a great influence on Cloud's behavior. Aerith is unaware that the two were best friends, and takes an interest in Cloud because she sees Zack in him. I personally think she's happy in the live stream together with Zack and Advent Children. She joined the live stream, but even then she carries on watching over the planet and Cloud. At all times, her first love, Zack, is always by her side. Advent Children complete, Dengeki profiles. When you're still grieving for someone, you just don't get over them like that in 2 weeks just because you've met a new guy that happens to remind you of someone you loved so much. The Promised Land, a fateful encounter sets in motion the pendulum of fate. As Aerith searches for the traces of Zack living on in Cloud, the innocent love in her heart will make her destiny's plaything. Zack and Aerith are the tragic couple. Cloud and Tifa are the couple that get to be happy in this story. The pair experience many hardships, such as the Nibelheim incident, which also appears in Crisis Core, and the Jenova War in FF7, and through these the distance between them shortens. And in Advent Children they live together with Baird's daughter Marlene and a boy named Denzel, though there was also a period later where Cloud lived away from them after having contracted geostigma, because he was scared of losing the happiness that he had found. They finally reach a commune with each other and return to living together once again. In Dirge of Cerberus, they rush together to Vincent's aid and his battle against Deep Ground Soldier. I mean, that tells you the summation of Cloud and Tifa. The way they're having Zack take on a bigger role in Rebirth, I think he's in some point between living and dead. I don't think that he's alive in the sense that we understand. But from his official profile on the Square Enix website, it's clear that he hopes to see his love Aerith with a Mako poison Cloud in tow. Do you think this is gonna be a Cloud and Aerith love story when we have Zack wanting to see her again? How? I want to make this clear. Yes, Aerith was important to Cloud, but so was Zack. They were both very important to him, just not in a romantic sense, and that's okay. And I know it's gonna make people upset that I'm saying this because, oh, I like Cloud and Tifa, I ship Cloud and Tifa. But so do the creators? For Cloud, they were people whom he can never forget. The two irreplaceable people, Zack, who was sent to death because he was protecting him, and Aerith, who met a tragic fate as he couldn't protect her, became the unforgivable sins in his heart from the Advent Children Complete postcard book. I mean, how clear does it get? And these are beautiful relationships. They are just not the primary romantic one for Cloud. Speaking of the Promised Land argument, it's an often touted argument stemming from the old website Destiny Fulfilled, and it's spread far and wide since then, but it's actually widely taken out of context. Twitter user Hayashi Nagisa, who's actually a native Japanese speaker, references the Final Fantasy VII Ultimania Omega when she's talking about this very fact. When Bugenhagen passes away, Red said that he went on a journey. Cloud and the party understood that reference and told him maybe you'll meet him again somewhere. She states that if all life returns to the live stream eventually, then the characters will probably meet them again someday. She states that this way of thinking was shown again during Cloud and Tifa's conversation during the ending of the game on page 206. According to multiple Ultimanias, this is a scene when Cloud and Tifa make a promise of a lifetime together. So when the time comes, they can return to the planet together and meet those people they loved together. So it's not about just Cloud going to the Promised Land, wanting to die and reuniting with Aerith in death, which clearly he doesn't want to die, according to Advent Children, so that's already debunked there. But it's something that Cloud and Tifa understand that they can do together someday. I think that I have defended my case in this court of law. Okay, thanks, bye!